another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And even though I am always excited, I'm always happy to share with you guys the crypto news today, we unfortunately have a very sad announcement. It is regarding the US SEC and the way they are approaching crypto regulations. Now, for all of you that do not know, I personally believe that the way that the US sees crypto is critical for the future of crypto. And today, a decision was made that is absolutely garbage, in my opinion, absolutely garbage, and completely detrimental for the crypto space potentially. Now, in this video, I'm going to tell you guys exactly what's going on in the crypto space and why this is so bad. Also, what it might mean for Ripple/XRP and their lawsuit. Again, not that good. Potentially, it could be swung towards the right direction, but anything we've heard today basically is bad, bad, bad. All right? Gonna talk to you guys in on everything. On the sidelines, though, there's a lot of crazy good news for crypto as well. We have some crazy controversy, by the way. FTX-CZ, the whole Binance FTX debacle. We on the sidelines, also have the Google running nodes for basically Solana and BNB, which was very interesting. And then we obviously have this massive SEC news. Let's cover it. Now, guys, as of this point, I'm going to ask you all to press that like button just to help out, because this news is very bitter, but we can at least make it, a little bit better by pressing that like button, helping, make me happy. I don't know. So, Lbry said over on Twitter, "We lost. Sorry, everyone." And for all of you that do not know what we're talking about, there was a critical case, the SEC versus a company called Lbry, basically, which had their own crypto token, the Lbry token. Now, a couple hours ago, there was breaking news. New Hampshire court finds that Lbry offered their LBC as a security and that the fair notice defense fails. Now, courts find no reasonable trier, I don't even know what that word means, honestly, of fact could reject the SEC's contention that Lbry offered LBC as a security. And Lbry does not have a triable defense that it lacked fair notice, and the SEC is entitled to judgment, so the SEC's motion for summary judgment is granted. The reason I'm saying that this is absolutely garbage, absolutely bad, is because, well, logically, if the SEC now has won a case in the crypto space that's this detrimental and this akin to the one that they're fighting with Ripple, they possibly have a very good leg to stand on in the Ripple versus SEC case. And in my own opinion, this is the first letdown in months. Ripple is getting more and more backup nearly every other day or so. It was absolutely wild. And this is the first kind of little stab to Ripple's side that I'm not so happy to view, but there are a couple of other pieces to cover though, right? For example, what Fred Rispoli here said. Remember that New Hampshire is in the first circuit and the SDNY is in the second. This is not anywhere close to the game over for Ripple, which I do believe as well. I agree that this is not necessarily a big loss for Ripple just quite yet. It's just a little step downwards. It's not nice, but it definitely is a momentum killer. And we all know the SEC will be throwing this order in front of Judge Torres ASAP. Because again, what they're going to do is basically go to the judge and say, look at what was found in the SEC versus Lbry case. They basically did not win on fair notice, and they're basically saying this. Lbry fought the good fight, but lost its summary judgment, which is the phase that Ripple is also currently in their lawsuit against the SEC. The judge hung his hat largely on the fact that there was essentially no use for the tokens at the time of the sales, at the inception, basically. I would expect this case to make its way into the SEC's final brief in the Ripple case as well, most likely very soon. And there's actually one other caveat to it all, which is the fact that the order wasn't really, or the ruling I should say, wasn't very specific. Jeremy says it as well. It was very general. The judge just basically concluded that Lbry at some point was offered or sold, basically that they sold at some point their LBC token as a security, period. Now, what exactly that means for LBC in the future, as at this point, I do not know, because none of the lawyers seem to be very outspoken about that part. Again, Lbry themselves said, "We lost. Sorry, everyone. Going to lick our wounds for a little bit, but we're not giving up. We've got a bright team, tens of millions of pieces of content, hundreds of thousands of creators, and one of the most popular Web3 apps in the world. The best is yet to come." The full ruling in the SEC versus Lbry case can be read here. The language used here sets an extraordinarily dangerous precedent that makes every crypto in the US a security, including Ethereum, because that basically means if this crypto has no purpose. Again, let me reiterate that properly. If a crypto, at the moment of inception basically, has no full purpose yet, which almost no crypto does, boom, security. And that's kind of scary, and that's kind of what they're warning everybody for. The fact that the way in which this judge made the ruling, well, it's nearly impossible to win for almost every single cryptocurrency from here on forward, even Ethereum, where again, I believe that the judge in the Ripple case is a lot more keen on figuring out the details rather than going for such a general ruling. You cannot always be certain because, well, there is some legal precedent here right now, right? There's a judge who made a decision based on what they knew, and the judge has to look at this evidence and think, okay, well, the judge made a decision for a good reason. You know, at the end of the day, they're apologizing. I also don't think that's right because I don't think they're doing anything wrong. I think they should just say, hey, we lost. This sucks. The SEC is not doing a good job, but hey, it is what it is. Somebody says the Lbry case lasted exactly 589 days, apparently. You can check it out right here, which is actually pretty interesting to me. If that's really the case, that's very coincidental. And you can see right here, again, Jeremy Hogan saying, hey, no need to apologize for it. Now, the rabbit hole goes a little bit deeper, and actually when I say a little bit, I'm just trying to make it easy on y'all. This goes very freaking deep, and I think over the next couple of days, we're going to see a lot of different lawyers, a lot of different people go really deep into all the data, because, well, as of this point, things are just really, really bad. Let's be honest here. Things are really, really not looking good at all. And that's because a judge, in my own opinion, made a mistake or was too general in making this ruling. And I think this will also set a lot of fear for XRP and the XRP shenanigans. Then again, in terms of price, let's quickly refresh the coin market cap. It's actually going up, 1.42% over on the hour, minus 2% on the daily. It's not doing bad at all. And to a certain degree, that's quite surprising, as I did expect the price to actually come down a little bit. I mean, we just got a big stab from legal precedent, basically. It would have been logical if people were a little bit less happy about the XRP price right now. Then again, it does also showcase that the community is rather dire and doesn't necessarily think that they're going to lose right now because of this announcement. Otherwise, the price would have just been minus 15% right now. And again, I've also not sold my XRP or anything like that. I think that would be kind of silly. But again, I need to let you guys in on every single piece of information that I got, which is what I'm doing right now. So, this Gabriel said, it's a dicta. It's dicta, okay? But here, the Lbry judge reasons that even if the team is completely silent about their efforts as to what they want to do, right, with it, no promises, no contract, but pre-mines tokens. That alone creates a sufficient expectation of profits from their efforts in common enterprise to pass the Howey test. So any I guess sane person reading this would think, yeah, that makes no sense, all right? If Lbry as a company then would pre-mint tokens, but never shares exactly what they want to do, never makes a promise, never makes a contract, I personally think it would be absolutely freaking dog garbage to think then that you are entitled to some sort of profits from their efforts when they literally did not give you any reason to think so. Just because they pre-minted tokens doesn't mean that they're, I don't know exactly how you can draw a different conclusion from that. Is it a very bad result? It's straight up, kid friendly. It's straight up stupid. It's just absolutely dumb. I have no idea how they got to this conclusion. Just stupid. That's just absolute. Okay, we're back. Got to calm down a little bit. Gabriel also says, I think the judge's reasoning in this dicta is challengeable. It essentially counts the same facts, Lbry team owning tokens, as satisfying two different elements of Howey. If that was how the test was meant to be applied, why would these even be two elements rather than one? And how exactly does this all make sense? Well, again, it doesn't. Now, again, is this good for Ripple? No, it is not. The reason I want to make it really clear, the reason that this is so bad for the Ripple versus SEC case, in my own opinion, not a lawyer, not a financial advisor, nothing, just a normal human being reading all these different documents, is because the SEC got to just give a little chef's kiss with a couple of statements in their eventual legal ruling, where I just think this judge was overwhelmed with all this new information and didn't know how to properly rule on it. But because of that, the SEC got to put a lot of different extra facts that make no sense to us, people who understand the crypto space and people who understand, I guess, to that degree, Howey better than the judge, the Howey test. But for example, this whole debacle here, honestly, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And the fact that the judge was like, yeah, I can understand because it's questionable, sure. But the fact that the ruling is now clear, it's just done and over for, and the SEC got so many extra lines in basically that I wouldn't have agreed with. Yeah, that's just possible to use in different lawsuits from here on forward. Does it really make sense? No, because this basically means that every single crypto out there, including Ethereum right now, is a security. And the reason I'm saying that is because Ethereum at some point was a security, everybody knows it. However, it grew out to not be a security anymore, which is why even the SEC and some of the guys said, well, but maybe if you basically develop your ecosystem, eventually you're not a security anymore. But if the judge will only look at inception, which is kind of what this whole debacle now states, only looking at inception, then you can certainly argue that every single crypto out there at some point was a security. Because even with Bitcoin, right, it just depends on the exact wording. But in theory, there was not that much use for it the second that it was made. And that is then again a questionable part of, well, if they'd never, what exactly do we consider to be decentralized? Does it even matter? Just the fact there's a company overcoupling, or does it even have to be a company? Because in theory, no company was there for the XRP ledger and whatnot, right? I mean, Ripple was made after the coins were already created. It's just so confusing. It's just so strange. Now, John says this unfortunately is a total win for the SEC, as the judge does not distinguish secondary market sales independent from Lbry or future sales versus past sales. Get ready with Gary Gensler and the SEC using this case as an example for how to move forward against crypto, which again would not be too good. Crypto Law US tried behind the scenes and publicly to get more attention to this case. We interviewed Jeremy Kaufman, who is the builder at Lbry and whatnot, who I'm confident won't stop fighting. This case won't change the outcome of the XRP case, so don't let it bring your spirits down. The fight continues. And again, I still think that Ripple will obviously win. At the end of the day, this doesn't make a lot of sense, but it also sets a little bit of a precedent for what would happen if XRP does end up losing. Just being honest, right? The price would most likely do very, very bad. Then again, I do think it will recover eventually, because even though these guys might not go for an appeal, I do not know. I think honestly, if Ripple does end up winning, this all might be reverted. That's one thing. And second of all, I personally don't think that the US matters enough to justify the crash forever. It just justifies a potential crash at some point. Summary time. I think it's summary time. So there was a very important case between the US SEC and a company called Lbry. They had a crypto, Lbr, I think it was. I think it's LBR, it could be LBY, I don't care, it doesn't matter. They consider this crypto as of this point to be sold at some point as a security. Does that mean that the coin right now is a security? I don't fully understand. And all the lawyers I've read from here don't necessarily state that. And that's because they don't really make a difference between past sales on the secondary market, future sales, and anything like that. They're basically going for two of these Howey prongs at once by basically stating as well that, oh, the team is holding this token. Oh, the tokens are pre-mined. Doesn't matter, you didn't go for a contract or anything like that. All the people had an expectation for profit. He's also basically going on the lines, the judge, that the fair notice defense doesn't hold up. And so this is not nice for Ripple, because the SEC will most likely use this in the case. Is it detrimental to Ripple? No, because even though they'll use it in the case, the judge can look at it, which they most likely will do, and be like, well, interesting, but it doesn't matter. It's not relevant because, well, these cases are vastly different, and potentially this judge wants to put a more accurate ruling on things and doesn't agree with the legal precedent that's set forth. At the end of the day, I personally don't agree with this ruling. I think it's unfair, but the position that the judge took is fair in the sense that the way in which he describes it is ignorant. It doesn't really work, but because of the point of view that this individual has, it is more so understandable. I think is the wrong point of view. Let me put it like that. Let's say, for example, like this. If you're looking through a teeny tiny lens like this, you might make a choice that if you're just looking full on, you would never have made, right? But if you're looking through this really, really tiny lens, you think, yeah, this is an accurate decision. This is good. But then we, as people with just normal freaking eyes, we're like, what are you doing? But this guy's only focusing on that small little punch somewhere and thinks he makes an accurate decision. And again, if we then so try to think about if we could only see through that small little lens, if he would have made the same decision, probably not, but it's arguable. It's only because we have all the info that we're like, this guy is freaking out. But let's not say that, let's not say that. Yeah, I can sit here for another 25 minutes, another hour, trying to go through all these different documents and things, but let's just quickly conclude and say, not that nice, not the worst in the world. I think could have been surely even worse. Things could have definitely been, yeah, even worse, I guess. Let's just put it like that. Am I happy with this result? No. Do I think that things are very clear in this whole debacle? No. The lawyers that I'm, consulting over on Twitter have surely tried their best, and I do appreciate that. But again, if we look back at the whole Ripple debacle, I don't think they're going to win the Ripple case, regardless of what happened in this case, regardless of what we'll put on paper. The judges make a mistake, and I think our judge in the Ripple versus SEC case, Judge Torres, will look through the charade and understand that whatever this conclusion was made right here, it's not really that relevant for the whole Ripple situation, and most likely she will look through the tumbleweeds, whatever, and find whatever is relevant, but we shall see. Just, yeah, not a good day, but hey, life goes on. At the end of the day, these two cases are separate. Whatever happens to this one doesn't necessarily matter for the other one. Just wanted to let you guys know that the US SEC has won a little bit, and I'm not too happy to see it, but hey, it's life. That's life. But yeah.